And in order to get ourselves to make decisions, many of you, how many have had decisions you needed to make for a very long time, and you kept promising yourself you make the decision, take action, but you just didn't do it? Who's done this before? Say I as well. Awesome. Who's been in a relationship way too long? Say I. Why the hell did you stay? You knew it was wrong for them, it was wrong for you. So decision making is what frees us. And all the time I hear people say, you know what? It took me 10 years to change this part of my life. And when I talk to people, I say, really, if we look at your life, it wasn't 10 years, it was a moment. There's a moment when your life changes. There's a moment when your business changes. There's a moment when Mark was talking to me and he came to my third seminar. I'll never forget him. And he talks about how big he is. I am. He's standing in the front row. It's his third one in a row. He's hard to miss. And he comes up and he gets in my face. He goes, I want you to remember me. I've made a decision today. I'm working for this company called Oracle, and I'm leaving. I'm gonna start this new company called Salesforce.com. You kicked me over the edge, third time through. And he said, we're gonna do $100 million a year, and we're gonna change business around the world. Next year, they're gonna hit 10 billion, which he and I talked about in Fiji about 4 years ago. Decisions are what created this juggernaut that we see and that we all love, this community called Salesforce. And this environment is so unique. And I came by today to see if you might want to make a couple of decisions. Who'd be up for something like that? Say I. Now, whether we make a decision or not has a lot to do with not just our intelligence, because I love coming here. People ask me, what is Dreamforce, this thing you're going to again? And I say, it's kind of like Coachella for geeks and techs. And I said, but I've been here as a keynote 3 out of the last 4 years, so what does that say about me, right? What I love about this environment is it's wickedly smart. You got some of the smartest people, and you got people that are really, truly socially conscious. But how many of you are very smart and sometimes don't make smart decisions? Say I. And so one of the things I'd like to do here is cover 2 things, 2 areas. We'll talk about business here, and we'll cover some fundamentals here that I think if we put focus into them, they can guide better decisions, and they can make a difference in your career, whether you're in the company. If you're a small business, they can help you take yourself to the next level. Over these years, I've kind of grown a little bit from the guy that does motivational talks to now I have 31 companies that I've started, or I'm a founder or initial investor in, and we do over $5 billion a year in sales in 7 different categories. We've got 1,000 employees around the world. And it's just, it's grown so much, and I've learned so much. And I've had the opportunity of going on this ride with Mark here for 17 years. So I've learned a few things in that area. So I'd like to share them with you. But the second area I'd like to talk about is your own personal life. How many of you got some areas in your own personal life that you'd like to massively take to another level, improve, transform? Say I. Good. So I'm curious, why are you here? So one of the things that if we're gonna make a shift, this is a wickedly smart group, but you can be really smart, as we said, and not use your intelligence at the fullest level. You cannot maximize who you are. And so while I want to honor Mark, and I love this experience here, this experience has really got to also have a level of energy if you want to go to another level. That's not fake and artificial. I'm not a positive thinker. How I've changed business is by getting people to make decisions, and you do that when you're energy rich, not energy poor. And working with people over the years, I've had the chance of coaching Mark, obviously, all these years, but I've also had the chance to work with guys like Steve Wynn, if you know Las Vegas, basically revamped that entire city, one of the geniuses in the field, multi-billionaire. I've had the chance to work over that time with Peter Guber. Many of you know he owns the LA Dodgers, 52 Academy Award nominations. He's also in a position where he owns the Warriors and has built that organization. You remember where it used to be and where it is today. And as I look at these people, I find what they have in common are 2 things. Number 1 above anything else, Richard Branson would be another one, hunger. Hunger, I believe, is even more important than intelligence. Intelligence is so important, but there are a lot of very intelligent people that never maximize their capability. How many know somebody very smart that can't fight their way out of a paper bag? Say I. So intelligence is so valuable, but hunger is even more. And if you've come to a program like this, I know the hunger's there. But the second thing it requires is a massive amount of energy. Because what I've found in life is many times people have the ability to do things, they know what to do, they just don't do it. And a big part of that is energy. So when I was back there feeling the energy, you got the music, it's so quiet in here. You're being quiet right now. Most of you are doing what you've done most of your life when you went to an education environment. And what is that? You're now learning the way you did when you went to a 20th century school. In a 20th century school, what do we learn? The bell rings, and what are you supposed to do? Immediately report to your what? Position. And when you get to that position, you're supposed to sit down and start a conversation with the people around you. Is that right? You're supposed to initiate. Is that right? No, when you went 20th century school, you were taught, sit down, be quiet, be passive, wait till someone tells you what to do. Today, if you wait for someone to tell you to do, if you don't talk to your neighbor, you're out of business. Who's with me here? Say aye. So I'd like to change this, because how many of you in this room have ever gone to an environment where you learned something that you thought was really, truly valuable? No one sold you on it. You personally thought, this is really something that could change my business, change my life. You were excited about it. But when you went home, you literally never applied a bit of what you've learned. Who's ever done this before? Raise your hand, say aye. Oh, come on. If you're not raising your hand, you lie about other shit too. Raise your hand, say aye. Who's done this more than once in your life? Say aye. Who still feels intelligent? Say aye. So we're all smart people. Why would smart people learn something, get an environment like this, and then not maximize it? It's because we've all been conditioned by our traditional education, which was designed back in the 19th century, 20th century, where you're designed to get a job where you were supposed to report at a certain position, someone told you what to do. Basically, it was an assembly line. Today, that's not true. So I like to break out of that, because research shows if you sit and listen to me passively like you are right now, you're being very nice, smiling, nodding your head, being sweet, I appreciate it. But if you do that, research shows 3 months from now, you'll remember about 10% of what was said, which basically was wasting your time, and wasting mine too. I don't want to waste yours, much less mine. So if you listen and take notes, it jumps up to the 40, 50 percentile, even if you never look at the notes again. Because just writing it down drives the groove deeper. So I'd encourage you to do that. I don't see many of you with any form of notes, but I know you have your phones. Some of you do, but if you have no notes, you must not have had a very high expectation of much value coming out of the session, clearly. But thirdly, if you physically engage your body, which is what I like to do, your voice, your body, your energy, engagement is part of what we're going to talk about here in business. It's the most pathetic level in a long time worldwide. Even though we have all these tools for productivity, we have all these tools for distraction. And as a result, most people are not maximizing. So if we want to transform, the thing we really need to be able to shift is get ourselves engaged at a different level. So what I'd like to ask you to do is, from here on out, if you're willing to, is let's start with some energy. Because let me ask you a question. If you have two people in a relationship, let's just go intimate for a moment. And you have two people, and both these individuals are really, they're in a magnificent state of mind and emotion. Their life is going beautifully. They're happy as could possibly be. And they enter a relationship, two really happy people. What's that relationship going to be like? You tell me, if you know nothing else. What kind of relationship is going to be if you got two people in a great peak state? Tell me, what's it going to be like? Now, if I'm having a soliloquy, you won't get anything out of this. And I'm asking you to not answer the question just so you refer back to me or affirm. I'm doing it because if you sit passively, you won't remember anything. But if you activate your nervous system by raising your hand, by asking questions, by yelling out the answer, then the energy will rise. Who's willing to do this? If you are, raise your hand, say aye. Awesome. So if you're going to take it to the next level, maybe we should just do it right away, because you guys are so in that nice, beautiful, deep trance. Are you really like this all the time? I doubt it, seriously. You're going in that school learning process, and I don't want to have you waste your time that way. So let's do something to start with. Stand up. Shake your body out just for a second. Been sitting, shake it out, wake it up. And here's what I'd like you to do. High energy, two high energy people, what kind of relationship are they going to have? If they're both feeling great, what's the relationship going to be like? Come on, tell me. Are they going to deal with challenges in a great state? Yes or no? So our state is the most important thing that influences our capability, our results in life. Lots of people have capability, but activating it comes from energy. When you are energy rich, you have a different life. The higher the energy, the more things can get done. If there are problems in your high energy state, can you solve them quicker? Yes or no? Yes. And what if you got two people in a medium, like okay state? It's not even about each other. Their life is kind of okay. What's the relationship like? Come on, guys, what is it? It's okay. What do you got two people in a crappy state, in a lousy state, and they love each other? What's still gonna happen? Tell me quick. It's gonna be a lousy relationship. You're gonna have pain, you're gonna have problems. That's also true in business. The more energy you have, the more things can be organized quicker, faster, make it happen. You can solve problems. When you're energy poor, even smart people don't maximize. And the problem is in our culture today, because of technology, technology is starting to condition us instead of us just condition the technology. Today, we sit so passively. If you walk into most businesses today, everybody's in a deep trance, and you can see it, because there's very few rooms that I walked in that are as dead as this one was when we started here, and yet I know you're not dead, you're the peak of the performers in the world, but we're internal when I say that. And there's nothing wrong with being internal, but there are times we gotta be externalized to make it work. Who's with me on this? Say aye. And so what I'd like to do is let's see if we can do something a little different, because what we don't want to leave here with is have you come here, listen, and hear those interesting thoughts and go on. We want to go home and make the shifts in our lives. Who's up for it? Say aye. So to do that, we're going to do some unconventional things to get things moving in here so we have a different level of energy. So I'd like you to find somebody nearby right now, point at them and go, I own you. No, say it like you mean it. I own you. No, say it with more intensity. I own you. No, I own you. Now, when you say I own you, what you're really saying in that moment is, I am challenging you, you low energy person. And what we're going to do is, where does energy come from, ladies and gentlemen? Someone tell me, where does energy come from? Food. Does energy come from food? How many of you remember last Thanksgiving, where you were last Thanksgiving? Yes, and at Thanksgiving, what'd you do? You had plenty of food, and after you ate everything in sight and said, I'll never eat again, and someone said pie, and you went, okay. Who remembers? And at the end of that, what did you do? Go for a run? What did you feel like after all that food? Tell me. You want to lie down and go to sleep. There's no energy, there's no productivity, there's no joy, there's just sleep, right? So it's not food. Where does the energy come from? Come on. How many agree with me that if without energy, we are not going to maximize? If you agree, raise your hand and shout yes. Yes! Thank you very much. So let's start to create that energy. So where is it coming from? It's not food. Sleep. How many of you ever slept for 8 hours and you're still freaking tired? Raise your hand. How many know people that look tired just to be around them? They make you feel tired. Say, ah! So it's not sleep. Who's ever had a night when you had no sleep whatsoever, you're totally exhausted, and boom, something happened and you're awake for hours? Who knows what I'm talking about? Say, ah. I would say to you, where the energy comes from is psychology. It's a decision about who you're going to be and what you're going to tolerate or not in yourself. And those are the highest energy. If I said to you, Richard Branson, energy rich or energy poor? Quick. Okay, Mark Benioff, energy rich or energy poor? Yes. The room when I walked in here, energy rich, energy poor? Good. So should we change that? Yes or no? Good. Then when I say, point somebody and say, playfully, you turn them, I own you. What you're really doing is challenging them. And I want to see if you can do something fun. I do this with the best athletes in the world, presidents, you name it. Sounds crazy. But what we want to do is we found that you can change your energy just by changing the way you move for a few moments, if you decide to. Energy equals emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. And so if you try to get yourself pumped up in your head, you go in circles. And we're not looking for pump up, we're looking for fuel. Fuel that will move things. How many of you can tell me where you were the moment you heard the news about 9/11 way back when? How many remember where you were anywhere in the world? Because there's all kinds of countries here. Could you see it? Could you know exactly where? What if I said, where were you on 8/11? Nobody has a clue. Why? Information without emotion is barely retained. Information with emotion can get you to take action, get you move. The reason people traditionally don't act on what they've learned is they sit in a passive state like we've all been trained to do. That's why before I talk about anything, I want to shift this with you if you're willing to. Who's up for it? Awesome. Then be a little playful. We're going to do it again when I say own you, get really crazy. And then what we're going to do is you're going to outdo their energy for just 30 seconds. You're going to jump, celebrate like a little kid, like the most energy you have, trying to outdo their energy for 30 seconds. All righty? Look at somebody, point and go, I own you. No, I own you. No, I own you. On a count of 3, let's clap together on 3. Go crazy. 1, 2, 3, go. heart say you rock, baby. Grab a seat in a pink snake. You're making me work. It's hot as hell in here. How? Does that feel better, yes or no? If you feel better than before, raise your hand and say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Now, question. High energy place, are you going to maximize or are you going to under-deliver? Which one? Is energy a habit? Yes?